The Acts of the Apostles give us understanding and a brief glimpse of the church in its very early days. And one of the main sections is the healing of this crippled man, that we begin to see the difficulties of how hard a heart or closed-minded, not just the people in the disciples' time, but also even in our time, that occurs. This man is miraculously healed. There is no medical reason that he was able to have his ankles and legs strengthened and to be able to get up and jump and walk and stay right with Peter and John. And yet, there was this large crowd who looked to them like they did it. And it was like, no, it's Jesus, the one that was crucified, that you crucified. It is through him that this miracle happens. And then more of the leaders come, and they want to arrest them. They want to quiet this activity, this realization, this witnessing of Christ. And as they do so, they use one of the Psalms, that it is the stone rejected by you, the builders, which has become the cornerstone. And anybody who's involved in construction understands that, you need to use good things to make good products. And this cornerstone rejected actually becomes the perfect stone that God has built his church on. And as we look at that gift that is given to us, how do we understand that God has given us the cornerstone, but we are part of that construction? And in that construction, how do we allow ourselves to understand and witness to Jesus? At times, I love John and his writings, because he's not afraid to show the imperfections and the personalities of those who Jesus called, especially Peter. And as the disciples go out, the apostles go out, Peter's like, I'm going fishing. And I'm sure that it's like sometimes so many people, it's like, I'm going fishing, and it's just like, I want some quiet. I want some peace. I want to be in nature. And Peter goes out, and the other apostles follow him. And they get in the boat, and they go out all night, and nothing. And Jesus is on the shore. And I do believe Jesus had to be somewhat grinning and just sort of saying, yeah, these are my boys. And he asks, did you catch anything? No. Throw the net over the right side. Now, think of working all night long. You're tired, you're hungry, maybe a little motion sickness, and all of a sudden, it's like this person on shore is telling you to throw it over on the other side. And Peter's like, okay. And they throw it over, and the net is filled. And as usual with John, he doesn't use things indiscriminately. And there was 153 fish. Why does he tell us that? Because at that time, historically, that was the number of known species of fish that existed. In other words, this net was cast so wide that it envelops everybody. Everybody is invited. And they are invited to be that nourishment. And as the apostles come to shore, there's already the fire with some fish and bread, and Jesus says, bring some other over. And they realize that he is present again to them. In our life, how do we realize that Jesus is present? We celebrate this wonderful, the Triduum, and now Easter, the octave of Easter, that it's way too large a day just for one 24-hour period, that we go the fullness, the octave, the 8 days, and then the 50 days of Easter, to proclaim and look at the wonders and the goodness God gives to us. And in that love and in that care, especially in our area, we look at the blossoming flowers and the trees and the wonder and the beauty that God gives to us. And we are asked, how do I proclaim that Jesus is risen? Alleluia, alleluia. And as we walk with Jesus, may we understand how he comes to us. Not the same way that he appeared to the disciples, but that he is present, and he gives us his love and in his grace. And he asks us to be gentle with ourselves in that love, nourishing us with that fish and bread, and asking us to share that goodness with others, to mirror his love. As we do so, may we ask God for that grace to recognize him, to be nourished by him, most clearly and especially in the Eucharist, in reconciliation, in our baptism, in the sacrament of marriage, in the anointing of the sick, that he is there at each of the steps to help us know that he's present. And I do believe, with a smirk on his face, he says, "This is my crew."